Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 99 of the TV Knitting Podcast. My name is Sharon, also known as Stitch Mistress, pretty much everywhere on the internet. And today is Wednesday, February 3rd. It is a blustery, rainy day, and I missed my run this afternoon because of the rain, so I decided to do my podcast. So I'm continuing to try and improve my video quality. I have hired an intern. My son, my 20-year-old son, is helping me with setup. So hopefully things will continue to improve and look better, and we shall see. So yes, I have a lot to show you today, so let's get started. And I am going to firstly continue my story of the podcast and how this all came about. Last week I talked about me and a little bit about myself and where I grew up and whatnot. And this week I thought I would talk about knitting and how I learned to knit and why I'm so into knitting. And next week, I will talk about podcasting. So, knitting. I started knitting, my grandmother taught me to knit when I was young, probably around 8 or 9. And unfortunately, my grandmother never taught me how to make anything. It's really sad. Because obviously I love making things. So I used to knit a lot of swatches, a lot of garter stitch swatches with her leftover yarn. And that's fine because it got me used to the knit stitch. I don't even remember her teaching me to purl. So then fast forward a little bit, I always loved yarn and making things, but then again in my teens didn't really do a lot of it. In college then I wanted to pick it up again because when you're in college it's stressful and you need an outlet. So I picked up the needles and knit a scarf, and it was a ribbed scarf, so somewhere along the way I learned to purl, and that was the extent of my knitting in my college years. I did some crocheting. I crocheted some blankets, and that was it. And I did not touch needles again until I was in my 40s. So 25 years later, I picked up the needles. And I wanted to make a baby blanket for my step-granddaughter. So I went to a local craft store and picked up a knitting book on how to teach kids how to knit, and I knit my way through that book. I retaught myself to knit and purl, and that's how I started. And I started making things, making projects, so that was cool, and I picked it up pretty quickly. But then I felt a real lack of knowledge, and that was back before there were a lot of internet tutorials. That was before people did not go to the internet to find things. So there was an LYS in town, and I'd be kind of like the kid in the candy store, looking in the window and saying to myself, "Oh, can I do this?" And I'm kind of intimidated to go in there. Kind of a shy person. So one day it was the summer, and I said, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get better at knitting. So I walked in, bought some needles, bought some nicer yarn, some cotton tape, and I learned to make a sweater. It was really just a tank top. And I'll put a picture in here so you can see. It was my first garment. It came out okay. It's a little big. It doesn't fit me now. So that was that. And then I got used to the knitting store and I started taking classes. My very first class was a top-down raglan sweater. A little ambitious for someone who really only knit baby things, like blankets, and I had made that one shell tank, and I don't even know if I had finished it at the time. So I took a top-down raglan sweater class with my dear friend Jaya. She's a designer and a wonderful knitting teacher, and I was completely lost. But I persevered and figured out a lot of things on my own and made my first sweater, and that was a top-down raglan. I don't have it anymore. I gave it to Goodwill. It was made out of acrylic and wool blend Encore, which was fine, and it just, it was kind of not the greatest. So I gave it to Goodwill. I made it for Emily. I gave it away. She outgrew it. So yeah, so after that, I started taking classes like a maniac because I loved knitting. I discovered my bliss, and it saved me mentally. It really did. I mean, it's, today's world is not easy, and it's cheaper than therapy. And, when I get stressed, I just pick up my needles and I go. So I learned to make socks, and I learned all sorts of techniques and some more sweater techniques. And then I discovered the internet and Ravelry and YouTube and tutorials. And I got better and better. And then my knitting teacher moved to China for 2 years. So the owner of the LYS asked me if I wanted to teach knitting. And I said, well, I guess, sure. She said, oh, you'd be great. It's fine. So I started teaching the knitting group on Mondays, where you just bring any project you want and work on it. And the instructor, me, helps with troubleshooting. So that was a little intimidating because the first night I got there, somebody came in and said, I have a huge problem. And I'm like, oh my God, what does she want me to do? Does she want me to rip out lace? That was before I could really fix lace. And it was really nothing. She just ran out of yarn, and we just needed to take it out, and then so she'd have enough. It was a cowl, so we took out a row so she'd have enough to bind off. So no big deal. And I've been teaching that class ever since, and I've learned a lot myself by teaching that class because I pretty much go on Monday nights and rip everybody's knitting out. And they hate me. But I'm not kidding, they hate that. But anyway, I do that, and that has helped me really become a better crafter, a better knitter. So I still do that Mondays. I've also taught other classes on shawls and sweaters and things like that. And I don't do that so much anymore. Those were Saturday classes, so I don't do that so much anymore because Jai came back from China, so she's doing that. And that's fine. I teach a mistakes class. That's lots of fun, and I'm going to be teaching that in a few weeks at my LYS. And I've taught at Rhinebeck. I taught Magic Loop there, and I taught a spinning class there. I've also taught breakout sessions at SSK. So I have a lot of experience. I mean, I'm a teacher anyway, so I feel I have some good experience under my belt teaching, and I'd like to do that more, possibly when I retire. So we'll see. I've gotten some encouragement from Susan B. Anderson. She was encouraging me to look into that, and we shall see. Anyway, so that's my knitting history, and I would be curious to hear your knitting history. I love hearing how people get interested in knitting. So, yeah, that's it. So next week I will talk about how I got into podcasting. So, again, like I said, I have lots to show you. And the first of which is what I'm wearing. I finished my Amy Herzog custom fit sweater. I just basically had the website generate a pattern for me with a bottom-up plain crew neck sweater. And it actually turned out to be more of a wide crew neck, wide boat neck, which I'll show you in a minute, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I decided to add a design element to it to add interest, and I'll show you right now. I added this lace detail, which carried up the shoulders, and I decided not to put a rib on here because it would detract from the pretty lace, and I like the neckline a lot. So I just did a crocheted slip stitch around the neck, and it lies nice and flat, and it's great. Very pleased with it, and I'll put a picture in here of the sweater. So specs on the sweater, it's Amy Herzog custom fit, and what you do with custom fit is you put your measurements in and the website generates a pattern for you. And I put the measurements I have in there right now are measurements I had a year ago, and I've since lost 18 pounds. Thank you, Weight Watchers and running. But it still fits fine. It's probably a more relaxed fit than what I originally said. I said an average fit, not a relaxed fit. This is more of a relaxed fit, but it fits well. I mean, I don't feel that it's big on me, so that's good. So you have to do quite extensive measurements in order for them to generate a sweater for you, and you also have to knit a big swatch, which is fine. I like swatching. So that worked out well. I did some more swatching for this lace neckline, and I'm very pleased with the results. So this was part of a knit along, craft along, the Make Two Along by Tiny Paper Foxes, and I also finished the skirt that matches. And here is my skirt. I am very pleased with it. I made a little mistake on the back. The zipper doesn't quite line up, but it's under my sweater. It's fine. I'm a lot more tolerant of sewing mistakes than I am of knitting mistakes, which is cool. It's completely fine. I would not tolerate this in a knitting garment, but sewing, like I said, I am such a rank beginner, it's fine. No one will ever know. But everything else came out really well. I mean, the zipper looks great. And my seams are good. So what happened with this, so this is a Craftsy class. It's a wonderful Craftsy class. If you are not a sewist and you want to learn, I highly recommend this class. It's called Beginning Garment Sewing, and the instructor is Brett Barra, and she's amazing. She also teaches a bag class on Craftsy. I might take it just for her because she's incredible. She teaches you so many great techniques. So the technique that I wanted to learn in this was to match the fabric on the side seams, so it was seamless. There's the seam. I obviously was not able to do this. You can see that fern should have matched another fern on the side. Didn't happen, and I'll explain why. Again, sizing. So when I made this skirt before, again, I was 18 pounds heavier, and it fit. And I don't know why I thought it was going to, if I cut it again, it was going to fit me, because it did not. I cut it and the side seams matched okay, but then I tried it on and it was huge. So I had to redo the seams. I just took a 1/2 inch out of each side, which is the beauty of this pattern. And she tells you actually to do that if it doesn't fit. To take a 1/2 inch off of each side seam, or how much ever you need off the side seam. And now it fits perfect. I love this skirt. It's just a wonderful, wonderful fit. Not too wild about cotton. It's okay. It'll be fine for spring. I may even wear it this week because it's pretty warm. Wear it with some tights. But I think I'd like to make it in a knit, even though the pattern doesn't calls for a cotton. I think it would be okay in a knit. And I ordered some pont. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And that's what I was planning on sewing my holiday dress from. And I already have worked with that fabric, and it's fantastic fabric. So I never did finish my holiday dress, but I have some sizing issues on that. So I'm going to work through that, and I will finish that dress by next Christmas, if nothing else. I'll talk more about that as I go along with it. So I ordered some more fabric to make a black skirt and a gray skirt because I love knit skirts. I think they're really comfy to wear to work. And I'm going to make 2 more because this is an awesome, awesome pattern. And I'm really excited about it. So that's that. Would you like to hear a sewing story? So, like I said, I'm a rank beginner. I don't know what I'm doing, and self-taught on the internet. I've never had, well, my friend came over and taught me some things, and what's nice is I am getting better at the machine. I'm getting much more confident sewing seams and everything else with the machine. So that's been really good. This went much faster than the first time I made it. So, the sewing story. Last fall, I was sitting around a campfire because we have a nice big yard and a pool, and we have a outdoor fire chimenea. That's what it's called. So we were sitting there cozy by the fire, having some wine, cooking some marshmallows, and it was cold. It was a really cool fall night. So we were kind of close to the fire, and all of a sudden a spark flew out and landed on my brand new jeans and burnt a hole in my jeans. And I love these jeans. They fit me so well. So I was heartbroken. I thought they were ruined. It wasn't a big hole. It was just a tiny little hole right by my crotch. So I felt it burning. I'm like, what is that? And I looked down. I'm like, oh my God, I could have caught on fire. But anyway, everybody was fine. I didn't get burned. It was just my jeans had a hole. So there is a tailor shop nearby, really right around the corner from my house. So I said, let me see if they can do anything with this. So I brought it to the tailor shop, and she said, oh yeah, no problem. I can fix those jeans. And she did fix them. She did a beautiful job. You can't even tell where the hole was. So, I'm chatting with the lady, and her mom had owned the shop, and I knew her mom from years ago because I used to bring things in, and her mom had retired, and we were just talking. And there was a dress sitting there that she had started, and I said, oh, I'm trying to learn to sew. And she looked at me and she said, you'll never learn to sew. You're too old. Now, I know I'm not a spring chicken, and I just was taken aback by that. And I said, oh, and I kind of laughed it off. And she said, I said, well, I don't, really want to do anything fancy. She said, well, and then she went off about how you have to be raised sewing, and her mother raised her to sew, and she wanted to do something else, and she had to become a seamstress, because of her mother's career and the store and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then she said, well, you know, the royal family, the people who have been sewing for them have been sewing for generations. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I don't plan on sewing for the royal family anytime soon. And the people who learned to sew for the royal family did not have the power of the internet, but I didn't say that to her. But anyway, I thought that was a really funny sewing story. And no, I will never become a fantastic, fabulous seamstress. I doubt it very much because it's hard. But that was kind of funny. And so what's interesting, I happened to be wearing this scarf that day. And I actually was wearing it last week because I was going to tell the story, but I never did. So I was wearing this scarf that day. And I said to her, well, I said, I learned how to spin, and I spun the yarn and for this shawl, and I knit it. And I spun it on a spindle. And she kind of looked at me like, what? So I kind of shut her up by saying that, but that was kind of interesting. Too old to sew. Okay. I thought you'd appreciate that story. Anyway, let's move on to some more finished objects. I actually only have one more. Oh, you know what? While I'm at it, let me tell you a little bit about this scarf. I had questions on the YouTube channel. This scarf is the Miss Winkle shawl. You can see the cute little loops at the bottom of the shawl. And this was a spin-along, knit-along hosted by Kristen of Yarngasm last year. And I used my little Jenkins Turkish spindle, and I spun some hobbledehoy batlings. Each one of these was a batling in a different color. And I made a turtle on my Turkish spindle with each one, plied them from the outside and inside, made mini skeins, and knit this shawl. And I plied them on my wheel. And I'm very, very pleased with it. And I entered it in Rhinebeck this year, and I couldn't enter it in the hand spun because it has stellina in it, and it had to be all natural fibers. So I entered it in another category where you could have natural fibers, and I think I got a red ribbon. So that was cool. So anyway, that's that scarf. So my second finished object kind of matches my sweater, and this is a barn raising square, and I cast it on with that pinhole cast on, and the yarn is Leading Men Fiber Arts in the Fox Says What colorway. I knit it on a size 1 2.25 needle, a signature needle, and it's a little tight. It needs to be blocked, but it's a little bit tight. So I think I just noticed something. I dropped a stitch. Probably can't see it, but it's right there. I'm going to have to fix that. Interesting. So anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up a needle size. I ordered another set of signatures in size 2, and I had them engraved. I know that Diane from the Suburban Stitcher podcast just was gifted a whole set, and she had them engraved Suburban Stitcher, and I had them engraved Stitch Mistress. I'm sure you can't see it, but I can see it when I knit. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to try these on my blanket or my next square. And you are going to witness the choosing of my next barn raising square. I have all my mini skeins in this beautiful beer themed bag by Joanna of Knit Spin Farm. And you're not going to be able to see in there, but I have a bunch of really cool mini skeins in there. And I'm going to reach my hand in and I'm going to pull one out. Even if I hate the color, that's going to be my next square. Because I actually wasn't sure if I'd like the color on this last one. But oh my gosh, I became obsessed with it. It was beautiful. So I'm just going to reach my hand in, feeling all around. This is it. Ooh. Yay, this is super pretty. This is Space Cadet. I was a member of her mini skein club for a few months. The yarn is Aurora. It is a MCN, merino cashmere nylon. It is 20 grams, and oh, I love it. Great choice. It's greens, like my favorite. I love this chartreuse color, love. But it also has these beautiful khakis and browns and a little bit of this beautiful cinnamony red. Ooh, it's pretty. So I'm excited. It matches the bag. So I'm excited about casting that on. So that will be my next barn raising square, and I'm going to use those beautiful size 2 Stitch Mistress needles. So that's cool. Awesome. All right. Moving along. Works in progress. Since I finished the sweater, I was very excited because then now I can cast on anything I want. So I decided I'm participating in Suburban Stitchers Knit Along, which is the Rainbow Along. And this is the yarn I'm using. This is hand spun. This was a bat from Good Karma Farms. It was a huge bat, and I named it Clowny because it was clown colors. So I wanted to spin them so the colors became muted, and I think I succeeded pretty well. They muted out pretty well. And I am knitting Yowza Way Shawl 4 by Susan B. Anderson. Oh, and it's beautiful. Very happy with it. I mean, it's not in rainbow order or anything, but so I started here, and then, oh, I was so excited when I knit this beautiful purple, and now I also love this gorgeous teal, blue-green color, and now I'm on to a really marled multicolor. I 3-plied this, so it would kind of tone down those clown colors. So I'm thrilled with it. And I will knit until I have about 33% left, and then I'll start an applied border. So I'm very pleased with that project. Next work in progress and almost complete are my blockhead socks. And this is a sock blank. I am on the ribbing, so 1 inch to go, and I am finished. 6-inch cuff. I like a 6-inch cuff. Anything longer is a little too long, and I do not like short socks. I do not like short wool socks because my ankles get cold. So I would not knit Rose City rollers. They would not be socks for me. I have a pair of beautiful Blue Moon Fiber Art socks sitting in my drawer I never wear because the tops of my legs get cold, so I don't like them. But anyway, here's the blank. And again, the yarn comes off in 2 strands. And I'm a little bit kind of over these 2 strands because they get horribly tangled as soon as you pull them off. But I find myself, I'm doing a lot of yarn management with these, and that's why these took so long. So, but they're beautiful and I love them, and I have more double blanks and I'll knit them. I'll just manage the yarn. Okay, so the last work in progress that I just started this week is a test knit for Kristen Yarngasm podcast, Wool and Vine Yarns, and this is her new shawl, and I can't think of the name of it, and I don't have the pattern up here. I can't think of a name. But anyway, it's patterned after mermaids, and I think this is a beautiful mermaidy kind of color. The yarn is Wool and Vine Yarns in the Narwhal base, which is fascinating to me because it's Blueface, Leicester, Silk, and Cashmere, and it's absolutely lovely to work with. I love it. Very, very happy with it. And I have the little tag on my bag with my little yarn key that I showed you that I got at Vogue Knitting Live. The yarn key doesn't fit on the ball of yarn because the little hole is too big and it slips off the yarn. But that's okay. It fits great on my bag. So now I know what's in the bag. Oh, and this bag, it's an Outlander theme bag that I bought last year from Suburban Stitcher, and I love it. It's a great bag. Awesome bag. And it's nice muted colors, and it matches my project. So I'm really happy. So the test knit's going great. So far, pattern's great. I have a few suggestions for Kristen, and I will be passing those along to her shortly when I have time. I'm busy. But anyway, okay. That is it for works in progress. And now I'm going to talk about some things that I acquired this week. Let's talk about Plucky Knitter, shall we? Or maybe I shouldn't. I wish I'd never heard of Plucky Knitter because every time she has an update, I keep buying things. This was a pre-order that I made around the holidays, and she offered free shipping, so I had to get a skein, right? And I'm obsessed with her natural colors, obsessed. And this color is called Boulangerie, and it's gorgeous. Just like a French pastry. I just love it. It'll be a shawl. So, it's beautiful. And she had an update. I told you I've been buying something from all the updates the other day, and this update had some new bases. And I haven't even knit with her old bases yet. I'm going to knit a shawl. I have the yarn for the shawl. You saw it last week. And I may cast this on soon because this will be a quick knit. And this is a new base for her. It is called Dandy. It is baby Surrey alpaca and silk. Alpaca and silk. Nylon and cashmere. So baby Surrey alpaca, silk, nylon, and cashmere. There is nothing wrong with any of those words. They're all lovely. And it is 135 yards of a bulky, and it's gorgeous. It's a little more of a yellow green than it's showing up here. This is showing up as a Kelly green. It's not Kelly green. It's yellow green. But it just glows. It's beautiful. I'm thinking maybe hat. Oh yeah, that would be a beautiful hat. Or cowl. I don't know. It's so soft. I don't know. I'm going to look for a pattern. So it'll knit up quick. It's only 135 yards. So I love these. Gorgeous. Plucky knitter. Can't wait to knit with it. Haven't knit with it yet. That's terrible. Next thing. This will be cast on possibly tonight. Definitely tomorrow. I love this. So, Instagram, very bad for enabling, but I don't care because it's beautiful. This is Mustache Yarns in her new color for Valentine's Day. It is called Je t'adore. And yes, Je t'adore. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love this. So it is 4 stripes and they're double wide. So it'll be wide striped socks. And one of them is hand painted. So it should be really beautiful. And you'll see these knit up next week. A little bit of them knit up next week. So I'm super excited about this. So I looked through my sock yarn stash. I have quite a bit of self-striping. And I want to start knitting it. So I'm thinking in April, I may take an entire month, the month of April, and just knit socks. And see how many I can get done. I'm hoping to get 4 done because I'd like to finish 12 pairs this year and that's a lot of socks for me. I usually only finish like 2 or 3 because I knit other things. And socks are my travel project. So, but I'd like to participate with the box of socks knit along that Kristen of Wool and Vine Yarns is hosting. So this will be in my box of socks. There's 2 skeins here, and you can start them on the exact same spot, so your socks will completely match. So I'm excited about starting that. And that is just about it. I just want to talk a little bit more about spinning. Since I finished this sweater, I've sat down at my wheel again, and I'm almost completed with my first braid for a lace weight spin that I'm doing. So here is part of the first braid spun up. It is very fine and will be plied into, this will be plied into a lace weight yarn, a 2-ply. It's so fine, I'm sure you can't even see that, but anyway. So here is the original braid. Well, here's the second braid. Totally my colors. Purple, orange. I love orange when it's paired with other colors because then I can wear it better. Blue, yellow, a little bit of pink. It's beautiful, beautiful braid by Into the World. Ooh, and I don't have the name. I'll see if I can put it down on the down bar. This is merino, superwash merino, and silk. It's great to spin, and I'm spinning it very fine. It's kind of driving me a little crazy, but now that I've gotten the first braid done, I'm excited to finish this project. So what I'm going to do here, the first braid, I just spun it end to end. Started here, spun it all the way to the end. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this braid is I'm going to separate the colors. And I'm going to take all the orange out, all the blue, all the purple, and I'm going to spin it now as a gradient. So light to dark. And then I'm going to apply it together with this and see what I get. So I'm hoping it'll be definitely marled and hopefully solid in some spots, and should be cool. So we'll see. So that's it. And that is it for my show. I think I heard Rich calling because I think dinner's ready. I don't normally record during the week, but I was busy finishing this sewing project and this sweater, so I couldn't record over the weekend. So I'm glad I was able to record this evening. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I'm hoping to record again in a few days. I don't know if I'll have anything to talk about, so it might be really short, but anyway, have a good rest of the week. Cheers.